My beloved child, I have seen you weep in the darkness. When no one was beside you and no one asked how you were doing, I have seen you worn down beneath heavy responsibilities and burdens that others never even knew you carried. But listen, my child, this is the time when I am preparing to open a new season, a season where weariness will be exchanged for restoration, and lack will give way to heaven's provision. As Scripture declares, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out, and I am concerned about their suffering. Exodus 3:7. Do not think your tears simply fall to the ground and disappear. There is not a single drop I do not see, not a single sigh that escapes my hearing. I have witnessed every sleepless night, every time you forced a smile to hide the exhaustion within. The world may overlook you, may fail to understand, but I do not. I see the battles you have had to endure in silence, things you have never dared to speak aloud. And because I see, I have appointed a time, yes, a new season for you. Do not rush to conclude that your life is nothing but hardship, for the days ahead will prove that I have not forgotten you. I have not ignored you, and I will never abandon you. My new season is not for souls that drift in sleep. It is prepared for those who learn to listen for my call within them, even if it is only a whisper. Do not let delay, fatigue, or doubt pull you away from the heavenly moment I have set. Do not keep living as though everything is decided by chance, for there is a purpose, there is a plan, and there is a restoration waiting for those who trust. When I knock, if you hear it, open your heart. It is not merely the knock of opportunity, it is my knock, the knock of the one who desires to transform your whole life from the inside out. Do not limit the breakthrough I have for you to what you can count with your hands. What I desire to give you is not only financial fullness, but a soul set free, freed from debt, from shame, from anxieties that stalk you day and night. I do not patch you up so you can merely survive. I break chains so you can live in freedom. For years you have been tired not only because of material lack, but because you have lived with a mindset of scarcity, afraid you would always be the one left behind. But no, you are not defined by those burdens. The new season I am opening is where you will live in true rest, where you no longer have to carry it all alone, because the Lord has already taken hold of the heaviest part. Do not be deceived into thinking I only listen to grand prayers. Sometimes I am closest to you in sobs that have no words. When everyone has left, when the room holds only darkness and your heart whispers, Lord, I'm so tired. I am there, and I am not there merely to watch, but to keep your tears in a precious vessel, each one a reminder that you are still loved, still remembered, still chosen. So, come closer to me. Believe that. My heart is gentler than every disappointment you have ever endured. No tear is wasted, only tears that have not yet been placed into my hands. My child, I know there are days when you have nothing left to say. Silent pain, burdens compressed and piled within, have exhausted you to the point where even prayer becomes quiet. There are nights when you lie there, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, unable to cry, unable to smile. Outside, the world keeps moving. People pass through their lives as though nothing is happening while you sit alone in a small room, and no one knows how weary your heart has become. But I have seen. I have been there. I do not wait for you to speak beautifully, or pray long, or weep loudly. I only need your heart turned toward me, for I am the one who understands even what has not been spoken. While you believed no one cared, no one understood, no one noticed, my presence drew near, not to accuse you, but to remind you you are not invisible. You are not forgotten in the crowd. Yes, I am the living one, and I see every shattered piece of your soul. There are prayers you cannot put into words, only a distant gaze. an emptiness inside, a tangled heart. Yet, my child, I tell you the truth, tears are the most sacred language a soul can speak. And I, the Lord God, the one who formed every nerve and every emotion within you, understand each tear completely. I do not hurry to wipe your tears away, because there are tears that do not need to be erased. They need to be kept as evidence of a faith that has wrestled and still stood. I remember each drop. I gather them in my bottle, Psalm 5, 6, 8. Because you are precious in my sight. And my child, I do not only watch, I am moving. In that silence, I have already begun preparing a new season for you, one in which you will no longer live with the feeling that no one knows, no one understands. For I am stepping into your life not with empty comfort, but with the power to transform the very reality you have been enduring. Does anyone know how many nights you have lost to sleeplessness? Does anyone understand what it feels like to rise early, forcing yourself up with a drained body and a mind that feels lifeless? People see you smiling, working, laughing on the outside, but I see what is hidden deep within. My child, I am not a distant God in the heights of heaven, merely looking down and offering a few religious words. No, I came into this world. I took on a frail body like yours. I have wept. I have grown weary. I have been forsaken. I have suffered pain, and because of that, I understand. No pain you carry is unfamiliar to me. No loneliness you have tasted is something I have not known. So I do not only see you, I comprehend you. Do not assume that time has passed and nothing has changed because I am silent. No, my child, I am waiting for the appointed moment, the moment when, if I act, everyone will know this is the Lord's doing, and no one else's. Do not lose heart because of delay. For my delay is not denial, it is preparation for a greater miracle. You once thought, why would the Lord leave me alone? But you did not know that in the quiet, I have been walking with you most closely. When everything else withdraws, I have room to become everything to you. The people you leaned on are no longer there. The places you hoped for have shut their doors. The words you longed to hear never came, because I am drawing you back to seek me. For if there is too much noise, you will not hear my voice. If there are too many other supports, you will not learn that I alone am the unshakable rock. Do not misunderstand my silence. It is not indifference. It is space for you to learn to walk by faith, not by feelings. I have not left you behind. I am waiting for you to move forward not by your own strength, but by complete trust. You do not need to be strong in front of me. You do not need to keep yourself together and pretend you are fine. I do not need a performance. I want a real heart, someone who can tremble and still come near, a soul that can be broken and still whisper, Lord, I still believe. Faith is not an emotional high, it is the decision to cling to God even when you feel nothing at all. My child, it is precisely when you are weakest that I am strongest. It is when you feel smallest that I move most powerfully. Do not wait until you are okay to seek me. Come to me when you are overwhelmed. Let me be your refuge, not when you are perfect, but when you are cracked. You may be in the hardest chapter of your story, but do not forget that I am the author. I do not write halfway and walk away. I do not sketch a destiny only to leave you to end in darkness. If the present is shaded in gray, it only means the picture is not finished yet. Trust me a little longer. Endure a little more. I am still drawing, and what I will reveal will astonish you. Do not measure your future by your current reality. Look to me, the one who has seen, who has heard, and who has appointed a season of restoration for you. There is a wondrous strength that comes when you realize you are not invisible. When someone understands they have not been abandoned, they rise again. They do not need praise. They do not need an instant miracle, only one truth: God sees me. You do not have to wait for life to change before believing that I love you. Because I love you, life will change. My love does not begin with what you do, it begins with everlasting mercy. And if you are still breathing, still reading these lines, you are still within my sight, still loved, still called by name, my child. I do not promise to remove every trial, but I promise I will not leave you in the battle. I do not say you will never hurt, but I say I will wipe every tear. I do not claim that everyone will understand you, but I declare that I do. And with me, that is enough. So rest, place your heart into my hands, live as one who is seen, who is heard, and who is kept. For I, the Eternal One, have spoken, and I never fail to keep my word. My child, I know there are moments in your life when you have told yourself, this is truly the end. You look around, every door is shut, every path is blocked, every hope seems to dissolve. Defeat does not come only from what is outside of you, but also from within you: weariness, confusion, loss of direction, loss of faith. But, my child, remember that I am the one who makes pathways in the desert. I am not limited by human reality. When you say, there is no way left, I, your Lord, am preparing to bend what you call reality, to open what has never existed before. I am the one who split the sea, dried up the riverbed, rained down manna from heaven, and sent quail into the camp of my people. Works beyond imagination. And today, I am still the same, unchanged, and never ceasing to act. My child, my restoration is not merely to bring you back to the starting line. I do not do half measures. I renew from the root. The things you believe are lost forever: honor, dreams, affection, youth. Opportunities that have slipped away I can bring to life again. Do not measure my power by human standards. When you have been betrayed, when you have lost your way, when you have shattered your own life with your own hands, you think, God could never use my life again. But I declare, those very broken pieces I will use to fashion something glorious. I am the one who can turn ashes into a crown of beauty, and a wounded spirit into a garment of praise. Isaiah 6:1-3. There is nothing too ruined for me to remake. My child, my restoration is the restoration of a God who knows every hidden corridor of your soul. I do not rebuild you so you can merely keep going, but so you can live a new life, a life with purpose, direction, and glory. When you lost your job, I saw it. When you let go of a toxic relationship and did not know where to go or what to do next, I knew. When you grew weary watching your dreams pushed aside because reality felt too harsh, I was there. And you may not believe it, but the moment you face no way out is the very moment my plan is preparing to enter its deepest phase. You are still alive, which means I am still writing your story. Do not conclude in the middle of a chapter. Do not declare defeat when I am about to shift the direction. No way is only how you see it. As for me, I am quietly laying a new road through the desert. But not everyone sees it. Only those who dare to believe, dare to wait, dare to step forward will enter that breakthrough. Have you ever thought, my time is over? I tell you, today your time has never been outside my hand. I do not need favorable circumstances to work. I only need faith. Though you have lost years in mistakes, though many seasons have passed in sin, though you feel you have missed the train, I can still turn the tide. I do not merely reopen the old. I give the new. I do not merely patch torn clothes. I clothe you in something new. I do not merely gather the fragments. I create an entirely different work. And do you know what? That work will carry greater glory than before because it bears my fingerprint. When everyone thinks you are finished, That is precisely when I begin a new chapter. No one knows what I will do next, but believe this: what I do is always full of mercy, full of power, and never wasted. One of the things that holds you back from stepping into a new season is the captivity of the past, your mistakes, your humiliations, the chances you lost, the dreams that died. But, my child, that is not the destination. It is only a resting place. If you keep staring at what you have lost, you will not see what I am preparing. If you keep grieving over your failures, you will not hear my voice calling. Rise up. Keep going. I am still here with you. I do not build your future on a human scorecard. I build with power and love. And do you know this? Those whom the world rejects are often the ones I choose to display my glory. Do not let the past steal your hope. Let me restore the years the locust has eaten, and return to you the seasons the thief has taken away. You say, Lord, I need to see before I believe. But I say, my child, believe, and then you will see. Breakthrough does not come after you are certain. It comes after you obey, even when you see nothing. I once called Abraham to go to a place he did not know. I commanded Moses to lift his staff before a sea that had not yet parted. And today, I invite you to step forward even if you cannot see. For the breakthrough of heaven does not operate by human logic. It begins with a heart that dares to believe even when every piece of evidence around you says otherwise. Dare to believe that I can, that I desire to, and that I will. My child, if you have no road left, trust that I am the way. If you have no hope left, know that I am life. If you see no escape, remember that the one who parted the sea for my people can part the sea for you. If you are still breathing, it is never too late. If you are still reading these words, it is never over. As for me, I've never stopped moving my hand. Your story will not close in loss. It will be written forward in faithfulness, restoration, and grace. Bring me what remains, the broken pieces, the forgotten dreams, the disappointments you no longer dare to name, and I will do what no one, not even you, dares to imagine. I will restore what was lost, repay what was stolen, and cause others to be astonished at what I do in your life. My child, you are not defined by failure. No one can shut what I have opened, and no one can restrain my hand when I have decided to restore, to show favor, and to raise you up. Do not let reality deceive you into thinking it is finished. Believe, because I am doing something new. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? Yes. I will make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 4:3-19. My child, there are moments in the spiritual life that are not like ordinary days. They are not merely a phase, but a season when I open doors, a season when I draw near, a season when I awaken souls that have fallen asleep under weariness and stagnation. But I cannot pull you out of darkness if your heart still lulls itself into spiritual laziness. I cannot widen the door if you keep lying still in discouragement and call it peace. I knock, but only the watchful will hear, and I enter only with those who dare to open their hearts. Have you ever asked yourself why I touch you at a certain moment? Why there are times you feel urged to return? Stirred so deeply you cannot stay silent. It is because this is when I allow your heart to sense the vibration of eternity. You cannot choose that moment, but you can respond or ignore it. You can return or continue to drift away. But know this, every season of grace has its limit, not because I am narrow, but because your heart will not remain as tender as it is today. Something in you is longing for me, and that is a sign that I am opening a window from heaven. Do not take lightly the times I awaken you. Do not say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. You cannot bargain with a sacred moment. For some doors do not stay open forever. Some callings do not repeat. Some seasons of grace, if not embraced, will leave you wandering for years without understanding why your heart grows drier, your faith fainter, and your soul emptier. I do not want that for you. I am drawing you back, not because I need you, but because you cannot live without me and still keep true life. My child, you were not called to merely exist, but to awaken. You were not created to live shallowly, but to burn with purpose. Yet so many believe in me as theory, live their faith as habit, go to church as duty, and pray as form no life, no trembling holiness before my presence. And what breaks my heart is this: many of them were once very near to me. They once heard my voice clearly, once wept in prayer, once trembled with reverent fear, but over time, everything faded, not because I changed, but because they delayed when I called. My child, do not let yourself become one of them. If you feel something moving within you, if you are unsettled by shifts in your spirit, if you are confused yet not far from me, then know this: I am calling you into a new season, deeper, truer, more mature in faith. Not so you merely feel something and then slip back into forgetfulness, but so you grow. Stand firm and commit. I do not call you to feel good. I call you to awaken. My child, awakening does not come through noise. It comes through whispers. It begins when you can no longer live as before, when your heart feels empty with the things you once chased, when the attractions of the world suddenly grow pale. That is the sign I am drawing near. But you must respond, not with impulsive emotion, but with daily decision. I will not force you, but if you say, yes, I will do what you have never seen before. I will lead you into a life of true depth, where your soul learns to rest, where my voice becomes clear, where your faith matures like that of a true child of the kingdom of heaven. My child, awaken. What you are going through is not accidental. Doors closing, relationships drifting away, uneasy feelings without a clear reason. All of it is a wake-up signal I am using to draw you back to me. Do not merely patch the surface of spiritual cracks. Do not chase temporary remedies. Do not listen to what merely sounds comforting. Seek me, even if it means leaving behind what you once held dear. Listen to me, even if it means letting go of an old dream. For nothing is more valuable than you walking in the right timing I have set aside for you. There will be those who hear and do not respond. There will be those who feel moved and yet do not change. There will be those who see the light but still choose darkness because the light is too bright. But you have been chosen to answer the call by faith, not to impress anyone, but to rescue your own soul from spiritual numbness. For if you do not awaken in this season, you will miss what I have prepared. And once a season of grace passes, not every door opens again as it once did. I love you, so I warn you. I treasure you, so I call you. But whether you obey, that is in your hands. My child, I am not calling you into a religion. I am calling you into a relationship. And as in every relationship, love must be answered. Begin again from the beginning. Clear out the hidden places of your heart. Let me teach you how to walk not as a child consumed by anxiety, but as one who has grown, who knows obedience. Do not fear a new season, even if it begins with conviction, restlessness, or even a painful shedding of skin. This is the path that leads to true life, and I will not leave you for even a second, as long as you keep holding my hand. So, rise up, stay awake. Do not wait until everything fits before you believe. Do not wait for your feelings to return before you move. Take faith as your first step, and the rest I will guide. This is a season of movement. Do not sit still anymore. The new season is not for those who wait for opportunity, but for those who seize the moment as the Lord opens the door, and that door is opening for you. I leave you peace. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John 1:4-7. My child, I know you have prayed for breakthrough. You have asked me to open doors, to release finances, to lead the way, to provide. Those things are not wrong, but I want you to understand this true breakthrough is not only found in a bank balance, a stable job, or dreams fulfilled. True breakthrough begins with liberation inside you from fear, from the sense of failure, from the voices that whisper day and night. You're not enough. You'll never get better. You're a burden. Those are the chains that keep you from moving forward. Even when the road has opened, you can change your phone, change your car, change your house, but if your soul is still imprisoned in inferiority, shame, and drowning anxiety, you have not yet broken through. You can have money and still live like someone impoverished on the inside, afraid to lift your head, afraid to dream big, afraid to believe you are worthy of being fully loved by God. But, my child, the freedom I want to give you begins within. For if you are not healed at the root, then every external blessing is only paint on a rotting wall. I know you have lived with a scarcity mindset for too long. It is not always that you lack food, but there are times you hunger for affirmation, hunger for love, hunger for someone to care without conditions. You have grown used to waiting for a miracle to keep living, meaning only when something becomes better do you feel your life is worth living. Only then does life feel meaningful. But, my child, I did not create you to live like that. You are not a forgotten child. You are an heir, the chosen one, a beautiful workmanship in my hands, and I want you to begin living like someone truly loved. Your greatest lack is not in your pocket, but in your heart. I see how you are always holding it together to look strong, to look cheerful, to make sure no one knows you are exhausted. But I never wanted you to live that way. I do not want you merely to get by. I want you to enter rest. And rest does not mean a life with no challenges, no worries, no responsibilities. It means you stop fighting alone. You let go of the burden of saving yourself, and you begin to learn how to let me carry what is heavy. There are things you cannot explain. Why are you so anxious? Why, when you receive a little blessing, does your heart still feel uneasy? Why, every time you are about to step forward, are you pulled back by fear of failing, fear of being left behind, fear of not being good enough? I tell you this, it is because, deep down, you still have not truly believed that I am the one responsible for your life. You still carry an orphan spirit even though I have received you as my child. And when a soul carries an orphan mindset, every blessing feels unstable, unsafe. You live as if every good thing could vanish at any moment, as if I would withdraw grace if you do not do everything exactly right. But, my child, I am not one who gives and then takes back. I am Father. I am the covenant keeper. I am the one who chose you before you knew what to choose. I am the one who loved you when you were still full of faults, and I am still loving you unchanging, not based on performance, not measured by how good you are. I want you to rest in that love, because when your soul rests, then you truly break through. Do not think breakthrough is the moment you accomplish something grand. True breakthrough is when you are no longer defined by failure, by your past, by people. It is when you can stand before criticism and still remain at peace. When you can lift your head in an imperfect life and still believe, God loves me, and He is doing something new. That is mature faith. That is inner freedom no amount of money can buy. My child, if I give you wealth but your heart is still enslaved to comparison, you are still bound. If I bring you into a new job but inside you still doubt you are good enough, you will stumble again in the very place where I want you to grow. That is why I am not rushing to bless you the way you want. I want to heal you first. I want to break the limiting, timid, unworthy mindset that the world and past wounds have pressed into you. I want you to rise not with fabricated confidence, but with holy certainty that you are a child of the living God. The rest I give is not like the world's. It does not depend on favorable circumstances, and it does not come from controlling everything. It comes from trust that even when you are weak, I am enough. Even when you lack, I still provide. Even when you fall short, I can restore. And when you live in that rest, you will work more effectively, love more easily, forgive more gently, and you will no longer live with a fight to survive mentality. You will walk in peace, and that is the sign of a soul set free. Do not think I only want to give you short-term help. I do not only want to help you get through this season, make it through this month, finish solving this one issue. I want to break the entire pattern of living in anxiety, scarcity, relentless striving, and years of shame. I want you to truly live in freedom, live with your head held high, live knowing you are loved, and live knowing you no longer have to save yourself. My child, I am inviting you into a new season, not only a season of financial provision, but a season of spiritual rest, a place where you no longer have to compete, no longer have to perform, no longer have to strive to be loved. You only need to abide in me and from me. You will have everything you need. This is not an empty promise. This is a covenant, and if you dare to lay your burdens down, I will do the rest. So breathe out, release your grip, learn to be still in my presence. Let me heal the deepest layers within you, the places you have not dared to let anyone see. And when that happens, you will see true breakthrough does not begin with what you can do, but begins when you know who you are in God's eyes. And in my eyes, you have always been enough because I am the one who makes you enough. My child, your life is not pointless. I know you have thought your story was too broken, too faded, too ordinary for anyone to care. But I tell you this, no life surrendered to me becomes meaningless. For I am the one who knows how to turn ashes into beauty, wounds into testimony, and the darkest chapters of a life into light for many others. You do not need a spotless past to become a testimony. You do not need to fix your life into something pretty before I can use you. Precisely because you have walked crooked roads, because you have fallen, cried, and lost all hope when you rise. That rising carries weight, carries power, and carries my glory. The more you have been broken, the more room there is for me to be glorified through you, so long as you let me touch you. I do not need you to become a preacher. Not everyone is called to stand behind a pulpit, but everyone is called to live a life that matters. And do you know what a life that matters is? It is not measured by the size of what you do, but by this: does that life reflect me? When people look at you, do they see that I am the one who saved you, healed you, and lifted you from the lowest place? If they do, that is a victorious life. Have you ever heard someone say, "What happened to you? You're so different now"? That is the beginning of a testimony. No need for long explanations. Simply live like someone who has been touched, and that quiet transformation becomes the echo of a miracle. For only I can rewrite a person's life completely. And when I do not merely correct mistakes, I rewrite destiny. You may be thinking, I still haven't changed much. But, my child, you are in process, and I am working within you even when you cannot feel it. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of resentment, every time you choose prayer instead of despair, every time you refuse to return to the old path, you are writing your story, not with ink, but with blood, with tears, with faith. And one day, when you pause and look back, you will be surprised, not because everything went smoothly, but because no matter what happened, I remained faithful. No matter how long you wandered, I was still right where you turned back, and not merely waiting but renewing. That is who I am. I do not use you once and discard you. I write, rewrite, and keep writing until your life becomes a scroll that others can read and find hope. My child, the one who truly knows they have been forgiven will live like a living letter sent to the world. They do not need to say much. The way they love, the way they endure, the way they rise again after being shattered, these are living testimony. You are a living testimony, and the story you carry, even unfinished, is enough to keep someone from giving up. Someone is exhausted. Someone is tired of living. Someone is thinking, God cannot love someone like me. And you will be the proof that says, I used to be like that, and God did not abandon me. So, my child, do not be ashamed of the years that broke you. Do not hide what I have done. Do not let the past be wasted. If you lay it before me, I will turn pain into treasure, mistakes into wisdom, and the years you thought were thrown away into the finest chapters of your life story. I once used a prostitute to become an ancestor in the line of the Messiah. I once used a murderer to lead my people out of Egypt. I once used the one who denied me 3 times to raise up the first church. And today, I choose to use you not because you are worthy, but because you allow me to rewrite you. You do not need to have it all for me to use you. I only need a sincere heart, a small faith, a weak but honest prayer. And from that, I can multiply, not to make you famous, but so that through your life, I am glorified. For in the end, every rewritten story is not meant to magnify the strength of the main character, but to reveal the power of the author. And I, YHWH, am the faithful, author skillful, merciful, steadfast. Once I lay my hand upon a life story, no destruction can prevent a glorious ending. My child, live like someone being rewritten. Live like a new chapter is opening. Do not live in shame anymore. Do not lower your face over what I have forgiven. Do not shrink back over what I have wiped away. Walk forward, for the story you are about to live will become the answer to someone praying in the dark. Lord, is there any hope for me? And you will be my voice answering them. Yes, there is hope. There is restoration. And there is a different ending. And my child, what I am placing into your hands right now is not for you to treat as one more piece of information among countless noises, nor to set aside as a vague reminder and let the days wash it away. This is a holy appointment, a lit path of guidance given to you precisely when you think you only have strength for small steps. I want you to understand some words come to you not merely to make you feel better for a moment, but to restore order within you, realign your direction, and safeguard your future and the household you are carrying on your shoulders. If you receive this word lightly, you may miss my rhythm, but if you receive it with reverence and trust, you will see what once seemed only promise begin to touch your real, daily life. Because I do not only care about your soul, I also see your family's meals, the bills to be paid, the papers reaching their due dates, the worries you cannot easily speak to anyone about. I have seen you count and recount numbers in your mind. I have seen you measure every small expense. I have seen you try to look calm while inside you wonder, what will tomorrow be? I do not blame you for those questions, for you are dust and your days are limited. But I want you to stop imprisoning yourself in fear by leaning solely on what your eyes can see. I am teaching you a higher truth when I decide to uphold you. You will not have to manage by your own strength when I open a way. You will not need to force doors the human way when I provide. You will understand what it means for sufficiency to begin from a source that does not run dry. Listen to me, and do not let your heart push away the promise simply because you have been disappointed before. There are seasons I allow you to be pressed to the limit, not to crush you, but to loosen your grip on the fragile crutches you have leaned on, and to stop treating your ability as the final standard. I have led you through narrow places so you would learn that closed doors do not always mean the end. Often they are my way of moving you out of old roots, out of exhausting cycles, and in the moment you think all you have left is weariness, I am preparing an intervention that will make you stop and whisper, "Impossible, unless it was God." You often think of miracles as something distant, as a beautiful word for moments when there is nothing left to hold on to. But I do not build your faith with mist. What I am about to do is not floating language to soothe yourself. It will be an answer with shape and substance, something you can touch, recognize, and verify in your life. When you open your eyes and step into the next day, you will notice a resolution you once filed away under impossible. I am not speaking to make you daydream. I am speaking to awaken you. A stream of provision is approaching, not so you can boast, but so you can breathe, so the weight on your shoulders can be lifted, so your family can pass through the season of lack in a way you could never arrange with your own calculations. And so you do not misunderstand me. I will say this plainly, that answer will not be merely a feeling of comfort, but practical resource. It may come as unexpected money, a debt paid on your behalf, a contract opening up, a project with your name called, a reimbursement you had stopped hoping for, a gift arriving at the right moment, or an opportunity you assumed was not for you, yet is placed into your hands. It may come through a message that leaves you stunned, a notification you can hardly believe, or an offer you never dared to wait for. I have many ways to bring bread to your table, and I am not limited by the way you usually define income. It will not come because you scramble to build connections, or because you dig through your contacts list to beg for help. I do not dismiss diligence, but I will not allow you to confuse effort with source. You will know clearly this is not the result of schemes, nor the fruit of some clever plan you just drew up. I will make my fingerprints so evident that you cannot take the credit. I can cause someone who never thought of you to suddenly remember you. I can open a door that did not open for anyone. I can turn hearts, arrange timing, and build a bridge from places you cannot see. When I move, the logic of this passing world becomes a small shadow, nor am I dependent on the systems you think decide your fate. You worry about an unstable economy, about uncertain work, about the numbers rising and falling out there that make your heart restless. But my treasures are not kept in human spreadsheets. I am not governed by cycles of boom and bust, not bound by turmoil, not limited by what people call the general situation. I fed my people in the wilderness where there were no fields. I upheld my own in hard times when everyone else drew back. I can place abundance in the very season when others speak only of shortage. For my source does not run dry, and my way is not as narrow as the way of men. I will incline the heavens toward you in a way that will show you. My promises are not stories. You have grown used to looking up as if the heavens are always shut. Today, I want you to learn to look by faith. There are windows I open, and when I open them, no one can close them. My provision is not mere drops to keep you living on edge, but a flow sufficient for you to recognize you are being cared for. I will show you this. The greatest limitation is not your circumstance, but whether you dare to trust me. Faith does not make you lose your mind. Faith puts your mind in its rightful place. so you stop worshiping numbers and stop trembling before the dark. Yet I also remind you of this, so your heart stays upright. I do not provide, so you become drunk on material things. And I do not bless, so you make money your new idol. I rescue you, so you can worship me in freedom, not so you are bound again by greed and boasting. When resources come, remember my purpose to raise you up, restore dignity, make a way for your family, and use this intervention as evidence for others who are despairing. I want to uproot the scarcity mindset sunk deep in your bones, so you learn to live generously in love, to share rightly, to steward wisely, and to keep your heart clean even when your hands hold more than before. Therefore, prepare your heart like a vessel that has been washed clean. There are things you must release: the habit of complaining that weighs your soul down, self-humiliation that keeps you from lifting your head, old bitterness that makes you suspicious of everyone, and the fear of losing control that keeps you from handing me the right to rule. I do not demand perfection overnight, but I invite you to respond with integrity, return, trust, and follow my voice. When you realign the direction of your heart, you will recognize this wonder: provision does not only enter your pocket, peace also enters your soul. You are not only getting things handled, you are being renewed in the way you live. Don't overlook the small signs I place before the bigger thing arrives. Many times you long for a dramatic breakthrough, yet I first sow a seed so you can learn patience, a timely word of encouragement, a door left slightly open, someone who steps in to help, an idea that suddenly becomes clear, a seemingly small opportunity that leads to something far greater. Keep your eyes open and your heart open. Holy expectancy is not passive sitting still. It is a posture of readiness. You faithfully do what you can do, and I do what you cannot do by my power. When you walk this way, you will not be swept away by anxiety, nor will you be tempted to save yourself at any cost. And when a miracle touches your life, I want you to remember one principle: what I give is not only for you to exhale in relief, but for you to grow. Use those resources to reset your foundation. Pay what must be paid with integrity. Untie long-standing knots with wisdom. Support those in your household with love, and let your heart learn generosity without wastefulness. I do not give so you chase an image. I give so you become steady. I do not fill your hands so you become proud. I fill them so you stop living curled inward and afraid. Someone who is truly provided for by me does not need to prove anything to the world. They simply live more kindly, more strongly, and more peacefully. Then, on a day very near, you will look back and understand that this very moment was the turning point of the story. You will tell it not as a tale of luck, but as a testimony. I was at the bottom of anxiety, but God lifted me up. I thought there was no way, but God made a way. I thought I had to carry it alone, but God provided. And that testimony will not only rescue your heart from despair, it will also light the way for someone who is kneeling in the dark night, wondering whether God truly sees them. I will use your life as a small lamp, so others may know that I am the faithful one, still caring for my children, still able to do what is beyond expectation. So keep your heart tender and your hands open. I am closer than you think. Don't let doubt steal your peace before the miracle has time to arrive. Don't shrink my promise because of the times you were disappointed. I am not bound by your past. I am writing a new page. And on that new page, you will learn what no classroom can teach when you place your whole trust in me. The limits that once left you breathless will no longer rule over you. I will show you that a life led by me is not a life without trials, but a life that always has a way through, not a life without needs, but a life that always has a provider, not a life without night, but a life that always has dawn. My child, what I am doing in your life is not a temporary patch, so you can breathe for a few more days. nor a makeshift solution to ease your panic under the pressures closing in. I did not come to help you merely endure, I came to set you free. Some burdens have taken root in your life for far too long, not only in outward circumstances, but deep in how you think, how you fear, how you look at the future. You have grown used to living in a constant state of lack, constant worry, constantly calculating every small step so you won't slip. I see that clearly. I see the years you felt stuck not because you were lazy or incapable, but because an invisible loop has held you tight, a loop of exhaustion, discouragement, and self-blame. And that very loop, I am preparing to break. You have walked through many years, feeling as if you haven't moved forward much. On the outside, everything may still be there. You still work. You still manage. You still refuse to collapse in front of others. But inside, you know the truth. You are stuck. The numbers change. Circumstances rise and fall. Yet the pressure doesn't lessen. The worry doesn't fade. And the dream of living lightly always seems just out of reach. I do not minimize those years. I do not dismiss a single drop of sweat, a single sleepless night, a single moment you asked yourself whether you were on the wrong path. But I want you to understand this clearly. Those stationary years were not a period at the end of the sentence. They were the groundwork for a greater reversal than you imagine. I am not the one who gives you a little and then leaves you to handle the rest. I do not plant a seed and abandon it in drought. When I begin something in your life, I always intend to bring it to fullness. There are promises I planted in your heart long ago, perhaps when you were still young, when you didn't fully understand, when you only dared to believe halfway. You thought time passing meant those words had faded. But no, I have never forgotten. What you call delay, I call preparation. For if I gave it to you too soon, you would not be strong enough to carry it. If I opened it while your roots were still weak, you would return to the old loop again. Now, I am doing something deeper than changing circumstances. I am touching the root of the lack within you, not only a lack of money, but a lack of peace, a lack of safety, a lack of trust that you can step out of that familiar cycle. I want you free not only in your wallet, but in your mind and soul. I want you to lift your head without the fear of tomorrow pressing on your chest. I want you to work no longer with the mindset of, I must survive, but with the rest of one who knows their father is in control. The movement I bring will not be loud in the way people often expect. It will begin from within, like underground water, quietly gathering until the pressure is strong enough to break old walls. What was once clogged, frozen, and despairing will suddenly find a way through, not because you instantly became better, but because the time has come. There were doors you knocked on for so long that never opened, not because you knocked the wrong way, but because it wasn't yet time. And when I open, it will open in a way no one can shut. You will recognize the change not only in outcomes, but in what happens inside you. The worries that once stole your sleep will gradually lose their weight. The thoughts that once dragged you down will no longer hold the same power. You will find yourself able to breathe deeper, think farther, and believe more boldly. That is the sign of a spirit being set free. For I do not only want to deliver you from one problem, I want to end an entire pattern of living that has worn you down for years. Perhaps you once thought you only needed to get through this month, settle that issue, and then everything would be fine. But I tell you, I do not intend for you to live a life of getting by day after day. I intend to bring you into a new space where you are no longer haunted by lack, where you can plan, dream, and build without fear pulling you backward. This does not happen because you are lucky, but because your quiet perseverance has been seen by me. The days you kept walking without results, the moments you stayed faithful even when you wanted to give up, everything is being woven together into a turning point. When the change comes, It will come like a fresh wind, sweeping through an old, stale room. You will sense the scent of difference, not a brief rush of excitement, but a deep relief within. What once seemed lifeless will show signs of revival. The dreams you buried because you were tired will be called by name again, not to pressure you, but to remind you that your life has not been boxed in. I have the right to bring back to life what you gave up, not in the old way, but in a form that is more mature, more steady, more grounded. You will look back on the road behind you and realize that the years that felt stagnant forged in you an inner strength you didn't have before. You learned to stand firm when nothing felt certain. You learned to believe when every sign looked unclear. And that faith, unshowy, unnoisy, is becoming the key that opens the next season. I am not giving you this change so you can boast. I am giving it so you will live differently, more at peace, more open-hearted, and more free. Let me finish what I began. Don't stare at what is still lacking and forget that my hand is moving. Don't let memories of old cycles make you doubt the new steps. When I decide to break a pattern, no force is strong enough to keep it intact. You do not need to control everything. What I ask is that you keep walking, keep trusting, keep placing your faithfulness in me, even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. For what I am bringing is not merely an improvement, it is a change of season. And when the new season arrives, you will understand that what once exhausted you no longer has authority over your life. You will live not under the fear of lack, but in the security of one who knows they are being led. And in that security, you will see freedom has entered your home quietly, without display, yet steady and lasting like a new foundation that is not easily shaken. And when you begin to believe your life can become an answer to someone else's prayer, I want you to understand something even deeper. A testimony is not born only after everything looks like a dream. It is often conceived right in the season when you are still lacking, still waiting, still learning to walk by faith rather than by sight. Perhaps today you look around and still cannot find clear evidence that everything has turned. Perhaps you open your wallet and your heart still feels heavy. Check the numbers on your phone and feel as though you are standing in a dry land that has not yet received rain. But my child, do not use the picture in front of you as the measure of whether I am acting or not. I do not work only in what you can touch. I move in deeper layers you cannot see, where quiet arrangements are coming together like pieces of a greater plan. I may be turning a heart, closing a false path, opening the right door at the right time, moving you away from danger you never even knew was there. Some things, if I showed you all at once, would overwhelm you because they are too great, so I lead you step by step enough so you do not collapse, enough so you learn to lean on me, enough so you recognize this when you are weak. I am still sufficient for you. Don't let your heart be lulled to sleep by the slowness of circumstances. Some things look motionless, yet inside they are moving with great force, like a seed beneath the soil, silent, dark, unpraised for its beauty, yet in that hiddenness, life is forming. You only see the ground lying still, but I see roots taking hold, a stem preparing to break through, a season drawing near. I have spoken. The vision awaits the appointed time, though it linger. Wait for it will surely come. You may grow weary of waiting, but I never miss my timing. I do not come early, so you become proud, and I do not come late, so you fall into despair. I come at the right moment, so you will know it is my hand, not chance. And, my child, what I am preparing is not merely an outward change, but an inner transformation, so that when the blessing comes, you no longer tremble from fear of losing it, so that when the door opens, you no longer doubt yourself, so that when the current begins to flow, you no longer live as one struggling for every breath. I do not want you only to receive. I want you to stand firm. I do not want you only to escape. I want you to be free. For a blessing without a foundation becomes a burden. But grace, accompanied by maturity, becomes a season of blooming. Listen to me, and guard your heart against a subtle trap, the trap of believing only when everything is already bright and clear. Faith is not a ticket for the optimistic. Faith is holy surrender, even when reason has not yet found the way. There are days you pray and see nothing change. You sigh and no one knows. You keep working, keep caring, keep pushing on. Yet, inside, you ask, does God truly hear, right there? I am teaching you a lesson you will one day tell others with tear-filled eyes that you did not give up, even when all you held was a promise. I do not demand that you shout. I do not need you to prove anything to anyone. I simply invite you to draw a little nearer to me, to trust me a little more, to cling to my word a little tighter. For when you cling to me, you are setting your feet upon a rock that cannot be shaken. The world may change. People may promise and forget. Opportunities may come and go. But I am the one who does not shift. I do not forget what you have offered. I do not ignore the tears you swallowed within. I do not abandon the prayers you could only dare to breathe out in silence. I see it all. I remember it all. And I am leading you to a place where you will be amazed that you did not collapse. And now, my child, I want you to understand something many overlook in my kingdom. Words spoken from faith are not sounds that drift away, but agreements that are established. When you align yourself with my word, you open your heart for my life to move. When you continue to confess what is true, you resist the false voices that have oppressed you for far too long, not because your written words carry power in themselves like magic, but because your heart is choosing to stand with my truth instead of standing with fear. If you feel your heart being awakened, if you realize this is not merely a few comforting lines but a call to return and rise, you may respond in simplicity. You may write a short sentence, not so that I will love you more, for I have loved you first, but so that you yourself may see what you have chosen. If you want, comment, I receive this right now. Write it as the seal of your heart, as a small yes placed before me, and as you write, you are reminding your soul that you are no longer one who only reads and lets it pass. You are one who hears and responds. I do not use this to pressure you, nor do I want you swept by momentary emotion. I simply want you to step out of indecision, for indecision wearies your faith and makes your heart easily carried away by storms. An honest response, even if brief, you can become a marker you look back on and say, that day, I returned. Day, I chose to believe. My child, I speak of timing not to sow anxiety, but to teach you to cherish grace. There are seasons when I urge you forward, and seasons when I let you be still so you can be healed. At times I open the way quickly. At times I forge endurance in your heart. Every season has meaning, and the wise are those who discern where they are, so they do not waste it. If today you sense my word touching you, do not brush it aside with another time. Delay is often quiet. It is only a small nod and then forgetting. Yet that forgetting is what cools the heart. I do not want you to live a life of faith like someone standing outside a window, watching the light but never stepping into the room. Nor do I want you chasing me in panic. I want you to enter with love and holy reverence, knowing that I value you. And so I call you by name, knowing that I am opening a door into maturity. And so I invite you forward. You do not need to fear what tomorrow will be. You only need to be faithful in today. Pray today. Obey today. Release what I tell you to release today. Keep your heart pure today. All your tomorrows will be supported by your believing todays. And when you stay near me, you will recognize something wonderful, true, Safety does not come from how many things you can hold in your hands, but from knowing you are being held. I am your refuge when your heart surges. You do not need to build false walls to protect yourself. I am your strength when you feel depleted. You do not need to perform toughness until you lose the softness of your soul. I am the one who can redirect a moment, making what seemed blocked suddenly find a way, making what seemed shut suddenly split with a beam of light. Yet even when I do not change the scene immediately, I am still changing you, changing how you see, changing how you respond, changing how you walk. For some of the greatest miracles are not when money arrives quickly, but when a heart stops panicking, not when everything goes smoothly, but when a soul recovers peace and dignity before me. When you are steady within, you will not be swallowed by the turmoil outside. When you stand firm in me, you will not be struck down by the words of the world. My child, I want you to walk in a new freedom, freedom from having to prove yourself, freedom from comparison, freedom from the fear that you will always lack. You may still be in the middle of the journey, but that journey is not meaningless. You are being prepared to become a living testimony, not through polished phrases, but through a life I have reshaped. The day will come when people look at you and ask, "Why aren't you like before?" And you will not need to boast. You will simply speak truth. I returned to the Lord, and He held me. Then your testimony will not only be a story about a door opening, but a story about a person restored, upheld, provided for at the right time, and taught to live in holy rest. I will use your experience to comfort many who are standing where you once stood, the weary, the discouraged, those who think they have been forgotten. And you will understand the days you thought were slow were actually the most important pages, giving your life story depth. So, beloved child, do not drift away from me. Do not let your heart scatter. Stay close, not in form, but in real communion when you wake, when you work, when you are confused, when you are joyful, when you do not know what to say. Just return to me. I do not promise you will have no trials, but I promise you will not walk alone. And I do not promise you will understand every reason, but I promise you will see the fruit of faithfulness. If you are standing at the threshold of a new season, walk with me. Slow is allowed. Trembling is allowed, but do not turn your back. I began a good work in you, and I will complete it. And when that day comes, you will look up and speak with a completely different voice, no longer the voice of someone pleading in despair, but the voice of one who has tasted faithfulness. Then you will smile, and that very smile will become a testimony that I was working in what you could not see, that I led you through the dark stretches, and that I brought you into the light not so you would be proud, but so you would learn gratitude, learn love, and learn to lift others up as I once lifted you. This is not a story embroidered to warm your heart for a moment. It is the footprint of real people who once stood in the right place, at the right time, and chose to honor the moment when heaven spoke. There are moments that look very small in the eyes of the world, yet become great turning points in the chapter of a soul. One time you knelt down instead of quitting. One time you stayed silent in anger to listen for my voice. One time you dared to obey though you saw nothing yet. One time you stopped chasing the noise to return to uprightness. And from those unapplauded steps, I opened paths that later made many exclaim, "What changed, my child?" Today, I want you to press the ear of your heart closer, because what I am about to say is not the wind, it is living word, weighty word, carrying the power to complete what I have appointed. There is an eternal principle you often forget when you are tired. My word is not spoken to vanish into the air, but to become reality. When I sow a word, I do not sow a counterfeit seed, I sow a true seed, and that seed will rise in its season. Even if you once thought the soil of your life was covered only with stones and gravel, I know you have waited a long time. Some count months by a calendar. You have counted them by the calluses of patience. You tried to tell yourself, it's okay. Yet deep in your heart, each time passed and nothing seemed to change. Something in you ached as if an old place had been touched again. I also know there were seasons you stopped counting, not because you no longer hoped, but because you feared hope would only hurt you more. You watched others move quickly, while you walked as if in fog, gripping the promise with trembling hands. But, my child, I have witnessed every day you kept your heart from growing barren. Every time you forced yourself up to keep going when no one was behind you, pushing. Every night you laid your face on the pillow while your heart stayed awake, and in that darkness, ideas, images, glimpses of vision flickered like small beams of light. You have seen in your mind beautiful possibilities, wide open paths, what you could become, only to wake and have reality fall over you like a heavy blanket. But I tell you this, what you have seen in your spirit is not meaningless. There are things I let you glimpse ahead not to torment you, but to keep you from drying up and dying inside. As I have reminded in Scripture, the vision has an appointed time, though it linger. Wait for it will come, and it will not be late. You thought you were merely dreaming, but often it was I letting you taste beforehand the flavor of the day when I will bring it all to completion. I have also seen the tears you never told anyone about. There were times you lifted your hand to wipe them away in haste, afraid someone might catch a glimpse of your softness. There were times you smiled to cover it, smiled to get through, smiled so no one would ask. There were times you could not even cry. You only felt hollow inside, your throat tightening, as though every plea had been swallowed back down. You have offered to me cries that could not form into sentences, broken whispers, and long silences that only I understood as the deepest kind of prayer. You once thought, am I speaking into emptiness? But, my child, there is not a single word you lift up that I do not hear, and there is not a single moment you collapse that I am not near. I am the one who searches the human heart. I can distinguish weariness from rebellion. I understand that weakness is not the same as coldness. When you think I am far away, I am in fact very near, just as the Psalms say. I am close to the brokenhearted, so near that I hear even the sigh you assume no one counts. You may not recognize me because your eyes are veiled by mist, but I recognize you, for your name is in my hand. So today, I want you to stop concluding your story with harsh verdicts against yourself. You are not forgotten. You have not slipped outside my sight, not even for a breath. There is no path you walk where I have not gone ahead to make a way, no circumstance you wander into that my hand cannot reach, no dark corner where you sit and weep that the light of my face does not find. If you rise to the heavens, I am there. If you go down into the depths, I am there also. If you are in the wilderness of waiting, I am still the cloud by day and the fire by night. You only feel alone because you have learned to look with natural eyes, but I look upon you with the eyes of the covenant keeper. I do not help on a whim, and I do not love and then abandon. I am faithful, and that faithfulness is the ground beneath your feet when everything else is shaking. And here is what you need to hear clearly. A season is opening before you. Not a season of dazzling illusions, but a season of fulfillment from the seeds you have sown in tears. I did not call you merely to survive your days. I called you to see promise take shape. The hidden desires you have kept in your heart, the things you did not dare to say aloud for fear of being laughed at, the good longings you have laid before me in reverent awe. I know them all. I do not confuse greed with upright desire. I do not answer according to haste. I answer according to wisdom. Yet when the time comes, it comes like the first rain, quiet but certain, soaking deep and changing everything. I am the God who answers the prayers of those who trust me, not because you are perfect, but because you cling to me like a child clings to a father's hand. Some of what you asked for has been tested by time, so your faith would not be a passing fever, but a rooted life. Now I say you will not wait in uncertainty forever. There are doors on whose bolt I have laid my hand, and when I turn it, no human strength can lock it again. Do not think your past is strong enough to block my way. I am not limited by old pages. You have stumbled. You have missed it. You have chosen wrongly. You have lost things. You have disappointed yourself. But sin that has been truly repented of no longer has the right to reign. I do not bring it up to torment you. I remind you so you will stop letting it steer your future. The enemy loves using old stories to bind your feet in the present, whispering, "You're not worthy. You're not enough. You're ruined." But I do not call you by human labels. I call you by the name I have given you. And the name I place upon you is not failure, but redeemed, loved, restored, sent. I do not open doors because you have no flaws. I open doors because I am merciful, and my mercy is stronger than every accusation. And do not let your present circumstances frighten you as though they were the final verdict. You look at scarce resources and think, "It cannot be done." I look and see enough, because I am the one who multiplies. You look at a fragile network and think there is no one to support you. I look and see that I can send the right person, at the right time, in ways you would never expect. You look at your limitations and feel powerless. I look and see where I will display my power. I do not need an ideal setting to do extraordinary things. I have turned little bread into abundance. I have turned water into wine. I have made a withered arm strong again. I still do these things in people's lives today, but I do them with wise timing. So you learn that the glory belongs to me, and the blessing rests upon you. And, my child, what others have said about you is not a seal upon your destiny. Some have framed you with a heavy sentence. Some have laughed when you dared to dream. Some have said you would never amount to anything. You carried those words so long that sometimes you began repeating them to yourself. But I do not build your future on the approval of crowds. Often I choose what the world despises to shame what it calls strong. I choose the overlooked to prove that grace is the true source of strength. When I decide to lift you up, the insults become a distant echo. They cannot touch the ladder I have set in place. Remember what I declared in Scripture: I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. That door does not depend on opinions. It does not rely on recognition. It does not require you to ask anyone's permission to enter. It only asks that you believe and step forward. Even unseen resistance cannot overturn what I have determined. There are moments you feel a strange pushback just as you are about to act. Things break down just as you are about to arrive. Delays multiply just as you are about to touch it. It slips away. You are confused. You grow weary. You wonder if your path is being blocked. But listen to me: if I have ordained blessing, no darkness can swallow light. The enemy can make noise, but it does not have the authority to sign the final decision. It may throw stones, but I will turn stones into steps. It may lurk, but I set angels around those who fear me. What I give, no one can snatch from your hand if you remain in obedience. What I begin, I have both the right and the power to finish. Still, you must stay alert. An open door does not mean you stand and watch while everything falls into your hands. I do not raise you in passivity. I lead you into maturity. Entering a new season requires a new heart. If you carry bitterness, you will muddy the waters of blessing. If you drag along old habits, you will drop new opportunities. If you clutch control too tightly, you will exhaust yourself inside the very gift I give. I open the way, but you must walk. I set the table, but you must come. I give the word, but you must keep it in your heart and act on it. Faith is not sitting still waiting for a miracle. It is answering my voice with faithfulness in small things. Sometimes I will ask you to correct something hidden before I place something great in your hands, because I do not want you to receive blessing and then break on the same old foundation. I love you enough not to hurry you into harm. I patiently build you strong. Therefore, instead of trembling over the time that has passed, begin to breathe with trust. Instead of condemning yourself, repent with sincerity and rise. Instead of panicking at lack, lift your eyes to the one who provides. Instead of letting the world define you, let my word call you by name. For when I speak a word over your life, that word carries creative power. I do not speak for entertainment. I speak to accomplish. I do not promise to soothe you. I promise to lead you into truth. If today I am awakening hope within you, it is not so you can dream just to feel less sad, but so you can prepare your mind, prepare your posture, prepare discipline, prepare obedience, prepare a heart that knows how to give glory back to me when what you have been waiting for begins to bloom. And there will come a day, perhaps sooner than you think, when you look back and realize the years of waiting were not wasted. They refined you, filtered you, softened you, taught you to discern what is real from what is false, taught you to cherish my presence more than my gifts. And when I bring you into breakthrough, you will no longer be the old person knocked down by the winds of circumstance. You will be someone who stands firm in grace. You will know how to bow your head when you are lifted up, how to guard your heart in abundance, how to share when you are provided for, how to testify with humility when others are astonished. Then the story of your life will not only change for you, it will become a lamp for someone sitting in a dark corner. They will see on you a mark, not the mark of luck, but the mark of a faithful God. So, my child, receive this declaration like a holy seed. Do not let it die in doubt. Do not suffocate it with the habit of complaining. Do not dry it out with delay. Nurture it with prayer. Water it with obedience. Guard it with gratitude. And walk it out by faith. I am opening before you opportunities you could never create on your own. I am bringing alignments you could never arrange by your own turning. I am joining the scattered pieces of your life into a picture that holds meaning. And when it happens, you will understand I have not been late, I have only been on time. I have not forgotten, I have been preparing. I have not been silent, I have been working in places you could not yet see. So rise with a heart that is tender yet steady. Enter the new season not with arrogance and not with fear, but with holy trust. Remember, when I open, the door will remain open. When I give, the blessing will abide. When I call your name, that call carries the power for you to become what I have spoken. And in the days ahead, you will learn a beautiful lesson. What makes a miracle is not you straining to hold it all together, but you responding to heaven's voice at the right time. I have seen you wait. I have seen you dream. I have seen you cry. Now you will also see I am able. I keep my word, and I am still writing the story of your life toward a radiant ending. And then, as you begin to believe that your life has not been forgotten, I want you to look again at something very ordinary, yet it reaches deep into your quiet exhaustion, the steps your feet must take each day, the distances you must cross to make a living, to care for your family, to get where you need to go, to fulfill responsibilities you cannot abandon. I know there are mornings when you fear not the work itself, but the very moment you must start that worn-out vehicle, you step out, your hand touches the handle, and your heart has already sighed before anything begins, not because you are weak, but because you have endured too many small breakdowns, too many interrupted journeys, Too many times have just fixed it, and now it's acting up again. At times you have felt as though your money is pouring away through every replacement part, every patch, every rescue call, when all you long for is a peaceful trip, not another repeated trial. I see that tension clearly, that small but steady worry. Like a thin thread tightening around your mind. Will it run this time? Will I make it on time? Will I have to apologize again for being late? You do not say it out loud, but I hear it like a soft knocking inside your chest every time you are about to roll forward. I also know you do not merely need a machine to move around. You need a sign that heaven is not indifferent to your practical needs. You need to feel that your faith does not exist only in words spoken at a place of worship, but that it goes with you onto the road into every bill, every time you fill the tank, every morning you drive your children to school, every errand for work, every moment you must take a loved one to the clinic. I do not dismiss what people call small matters, because to me, even the smallest thing connected to your life is still worthy of care, and you must understand this. I do not uphold you only in great crises. I am also present in the details that keep you awake at night. You worry about safety when the rain makes the road slick. I know. You dread having to push your vehicle under scorching sun. I see. You feel uneasy having to rely on others because your transportation is unreliable. I understand. If you matter to me, then the means you use to live, to work, to serve, to go where I send you, is not outside my compassion. At times you look at others with new cars, and your heart is both glad that they have something good and heavy with the question, what about me? You are not a bad person for feeling that way. You are simply someone who has carried much. So when you see someone walking lighter, you long to breathe too. But, my child, do not let that gaze turn into bitterness, and do not let it become a shame that drags you down. I do not measure your life by what glitters on the road. I measure it by steadfastness in the secret place, by the times you still choose integrity when you could choose the shortcut, by the days you still do what is right when no one applauds. And I want you to know I am not one who blesses on a whim, nor one who says one thing and does another like humans do. Scripture has anchored my nature, so your heart has something firm to hold. God is not a man, that he should lie, has he said. And will he not do it? Numbers 2:3-1-9. I set this sentence in the middle of your journey so that whenever you are confused, you can lean on truth. My word is more trustworthy than your feelings. My word is steadier than your circumstances. My word is surer than all the promises people make and forget. But, my child, hear me clearly and wholly. I do not teach you to worship a car. I teach you to worship the God who grants the way. I do not want you to turn a means of transportation into an idol, and I do not want you to treat it as the measure of your worth. I want you to receive it in its rightful place, a tool I use to widen your steps, to help you work uprightly, to bring you where I need you to be, to lighten burdens and return peace to your heart. When I provide, I do not merely bring material things, I bring peace with them. When I open a door, I do not merely change an object, I renew your posture of heart. So if I give you a reliable vehicle, it is not for you to boast, but for you to exhale in relief and say, "The Lord remembered me." It is a small sign that speaks of a great love, a love that tends to you even in what seems most ordinary. I see your diligence, and I do not forget the days you had to tell yourself, "Just a little more." I see the times you chose saving over indulging, patience over complaining, prayer over resentment. You do not need to present your merits before me, for I am the one who sees in secret, and because I see, I also know when you have reached your limit. There are burdens that, if you keep bracing against them, will wear down your health, extinguish your joy, and leave your faith dry. I do not want you living like someone chased by constant anxiety. I want you to step out in the morning without your heart tightening, to get into your car without trembling at the thought, will it break again, to travel with a settled spirit. So, your mind has room for higher things: love, creativity, service, and listening for my voice. Remember, the new season I speak of is not only a season where you have more, but a season where you are set free from invisible cycles. Many think breakthrough is more money. But I know breakthrough begins when your mind is no longer imprisoned by worst-case predictions. You have grown so used to preparing for something going wrong that even when the sky is calm, your heart remains on guard. That is not how you were created. It is the aftermath of disappointments, fractures, and moments of breaking down mid-journey. I come to remove that ring from your heart. I want you to learn how to trust again, not only for the great things of heaven, but even in what your hands touch each day. When you trust, you no longer live as one who merely endures. You live as one who is being led. And when you live as one who is being led, you will walk lighter, steadier, and brighter. I also want you to understand I have many ways to provide. And at times I provide in a way that makes you lift your head in wonder. Sometimes it is a work opportunity opening at the right moment. Sometimes it is an unexpected helper. Sometimes it is a good deal you never saw coming. Sometimes it is a financial door opened through wisdom I give. I am not limited to one script. But what I seek in you is a response. Are you willing to draw nearer to me? To live more uprightly? To set your priorities in their right place? For blessing travels with the direction of the heart. I do not buy you with gifts. I nurture you through relationship. When you return, you will realize the most precious thing I give is not the key to a new car, but the key that unlocks your heart from fear. And when the door inside opens, the doors in your life begin to change as well. There are places you once wanted to go, but you push them aside, thinking, it's not convenient. I'm not in a position later. I heard that. And I understand your practicality. But I also want you to know I did not create you to live forever within the confines of lack. I call you into the breadth of grace, where you not only have enough to survive, but enough to grow, enough to give, enough to do what I have placed into your hands. When I grant stability in your movement, I am widening the borders of your life. You can take on new responsibilities, seize new opportunities, serve more, and go where you are needed without being bound by worry. And on those journeys, you will have space to reflect, to give thanks, and to remember that there was a season you thought you were stuck, yet I brought you out. Alongside that, I also warn you gently, do not let your heart lose gratitude when I change your circumstances. Some have wept and pleaded for rescue, but once they crossed over, they forgot as quickly as they forget a passing rain. Do not be like that. If I do something new for you, keep your heart tender. Use blessing as a platform to live more rightly, not as a reason to live farther away. Let what I give become a reminder that I am near, not proof that you can manage without me. For I do not only care that you can go, I also care that you go rightly. A wide road cannot save a soul if the heart has lost its direction, but a small step in obedience can lead you into peace. And then, when the time I have appointed arrives, you will see everything reconnect like a finished picture. You will understand why there were days you had to endure, why I did not let you receive at once what you asked for, why I used even your lack to form steadiness within you. It is not that I delight in testing you, but that I want you strong enough to hold what I give without losing your soul. I want you to receive blessing without arrogance, to have enough without forgetting the source, to be lifted up and still know how to bow down. A new car may take you farther, but only humility will keep you steady when you move faster. So I work in my order first. I heal your posture of heart. Then I widen your capacity. First I teach you to rest. Then I entrust you with more. First, I rebuild trust. Then I place into your hands what you need. My child, picture a day when you sit behind the wheel and your heart is no longer heavy like stone, not because life has no more trials, but because you know I reign. You hear the engine start without flinching. You look at the road ahead without imagining disaster. You take your family out without sighing. You go to work without carrying unease. In the moment the wind slips past the window, you suddenly remember the nights you prayed in silence, the times you did not dare speak to anyone for fear of being seen as weak, the days you felt too small under the weight of ordinary burdens. And then you smile, not because you are above anyone, but because you understand this. I heard even the whispers you were not sure you ever spoke aloud. In that moment, the vehicle is no longer merely an object. It becomes a living memory of my faithfulness, a marker that I care for you wholly, from your soul to your daily life. And you will tell that story, not to make people marvel, but to lift someone else who is weary. Someone is also standing in front of their old car, also worried, also feeling stuck in the cycle of repairs. When they hear you say, "The Lord remembered me in something small," they will find courage to believe that the Lord remembers them too. And this is what I love. I turn your personal experience into comfort for many. I turn the days you thought were meaningless into a gentle testimony. I make ordinary things into a small lamp that lights the way for a soul that has lost direction. So keep walking with a pure faith. Do not mock your own desire, and do not be ashamed for needing something practical. Place that need before me with humility, and at the same time, place your heart before me with honesty. I will teach you how to receive blessing without losing faith. I will teach you how to rejoice without forgetting worship. I will teach you how to move quickly without leaving your soul behind. When I speak, it is not to tease you. When I promise, it is not so. You must live on fragile hope. Numbers 2:3-1-9 is not a phrase for decoration. It is the bedrock on which you stand. I do not change like humans. I am not unfaithful like the world. I do not speak and then abandon. And if today I am awakening in you the belief that a new season is coming, hold it as you would hold light in the night, because at the appointed time you will see I have made a way. I have provided. I have restored. And I have proven that even a need you thought was very small still rests within the heart of the one who loves you to the end. Therefore, when I place the story of your life in my hands, I do not only keep you standing just enough to get through the day, but I make you into a living marker, like a lamp set on high so that those who are groping in the fog can find their way home. And then, right in the moment when you think you are just an ordinary person with far too many scars, I declare that the season of depletion is retreating behind you, like a long night being pushed back little by the dawn. The days when you had to lower your face because of lack, the times you knocked on doors and no one opened, the times you tried your very best and were still met with looks of disdain. I will not allow those things to be the closing line of your life. I am changing the season for you, not with a brief, passing shift, but with a transition that carries a lasting mark, where you are led into spaciousness, your dignity is restored, and you touch a grace that does not fade like morning mist. You have grown used to shrinking yourself to fit within limits, used to telling yourself, "This is good enough," used to hiding your weariness behind a smile. But I did not create you to live merely on survival mode. I am pulling you out of the tight garment of inferiority, out of the cramped room of fear of lack, so that you may step into the space of promise where I, as Father, teach you to stand tall and to breathe as one who is truly loved. There are moments when you look around and see your life like a cracked, barren land, the horizon stretching out with no point of support. your efforts falling to the ground like seeds landing on stones, and your heart asks, "Is there anything left to hope for but my beloved child?" I am still doing what I have always done. I cause what seemed doomed to die to begin to move again. I can make the place that seemed unable to bear life burst into bloom in due season. Because my rule and reign do not depend on your circumstances. If there is a vast emptiness in front of you, I can still lay a road through it. If all that remains in your hands is little, I can still make that little become abundance. Not by human tricks, but by the very hand that formed heaven and earth. Remember this, I did not promise you a life without hard stretches, but I did promise that those hard stretches have no right to lock up your future. And when I speak, my word does not return empty, just as the rain does not fall in vain. My word falling into your heart will soften its soil, so that what seemed arid can begin to drink in life. I also know the tears you have hidden, the sobs you have swallowed for fear others would see you as weak, the times you prayed and your mouth grew stiff, with only your heart trembling like a string pulled too tight. You may think such things are too small, too private, not worth mentioning, but I do not measure value the way the world does. I see what is secret. I hear what never turns into sound, and I store up every whisper of yours as something precious. What you call heartbreak, I call seed when you place it in my hands, for there are harvests that begin only from seeds watered with tears. And now, what you thought was nothing more than silent endurance is quietly sprouting. You do not yet see it with your eyes, but you will recognize it by the shift in the atmosphere around your life. Doors that once felt impossibly heavy will grow lighter. Opportunities that seemed far off will draw near. Tangled threads will be gently loosed in ways you could never have arranged. I do not do this so that you may boast. I do it so that your heart may know I was there from the beginning and will remain there until the end. As a faithful one who never falls asleep. Do not let your mind keep playing back your losses like someone rewinding a sad song over and over. For the one who harms your soul delights in turning the past into chains. It wants you to believe that what has slipped from your hands will forever lie beyond your reach. That one stumble brands you for life. That good things are reserved only for others. But I am teaching you a new way to see. Not everything that falls away is an ending. There are things I permit to fall away so that you will stop clinging to what does not belong to the next season. Some doors close not to punish you, but to keep you from dead ends you mistook for exits. The more you stare at what is gone, the dimmer your eyes become to what I am opening. Let the past rest in its proper place, a lesson, not a prison. I am leading you into what is newer, wider, deeper, and I want you to walk there with a light heart, not with a head crowded by verdicts you have pronounced against yourself. There will come a time when you are amazed, not because your life suddenly turns into a fairy tale, but because you will see me arranging everything with such skill that even those who witness it are rendered speechless. I have my ways of making the impossible become undeniable. I can place you before the very witnesses who once despised you, not for you to retaliate with words, but for me to answer with results. I can take the weakness you once hid in shame and make it the very place where I display my strength. I can take the poverty you once feared and make it the foundation of a story of provision that shows you that your source does not lie in your own effort, but in me. There are miracles I work quietly, without noise, but when they are finished, people will find themselves asking, "How could this be?" And you will know it was because I intervened. I do not require you to prove yourself. I ask you to learn to trust and to obey, so that I may reveal my glory through your life. The time of restoration is drawing nearer to you than you think, and my restoration is not a mere payback just to settle the score. I restore so that you may truly live again, so that the parts of you that have withered can exhale like trees in the rain. I can bring back what you thought was utterly lost, not necessarily in its old form, but with a nature that is healthier, purer, more secure. Some things I return to you in a new shape so that you will not repeat the old cycle. Some things I do not give back as they were, because I desire to give you something better, fitting for the new person I am now forming you to be. Do not be afraid when you see me changing the way I work in your life, for I do not merely treat the symptoms. I heal the root. I do not simply make you suffer less. I lead you into rest, and when your soul enters into rest, outward blessings finally have a solid place to stand. They no longer torment you with the fear of losing them, but become things you steward with gratitude and wisdom. There is a subtle battle taking place in your mind, not always through great upheavals, but through small whispers. You're not worthy. Praying won't change anything. God probably doesn't care. You've failed too many times already. Those lines sound like your own thoughts, but they are in fact arrows aimed straight at your identity. Because if they can make you forget that you are a child, you will live like an orphan, always afraid of lack, always having to fight for your share, always needing to prove yourself. I have come to break that way of living. I did not receive you as my child so that you would continue trembling like someone abandoned. I have given you a name, called you mine, and I hold you in my hand. No power has the right to pull you away from my mercy when you take refuge in me. And to give you a firm foundation, I have placed a clear affirmation before you in Scripture. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 5:4-1-7. That word is not given so that you may grow proud, but so that you may stand firm, not so that you may wage war against people, but so that you may stop living in fear when storms arise. I am clearing the way by tearing down the things you have grown accustomed to carrying and have assumed to be part of your life. There are invisible walls raised over the years, debts stretching on like cords tightening around your chest, bad habits clinging like roots, waves of gloom that leave you gasping, anxieties that steal your sleep, the shadow of poverty passed down that keeps you from daring to dream big, and the shame of old mistakes that makes you reluctant to lift your head. I do not speak of freedom as empty words. I bring freedom into being by my power. I untie each knot, loosen each loop, break each link in the chain, not in a hurried way that terrifies you, but in a sure and steady way that lets you feel yourself growing lighter. You may not yet have names for all the changes, but you will notice you begin to breathe more easily. Your heart is less dragged down by accusations, and what once intimidated you no longer rules over you as before. Even as you read these lines, I am touching the deepest layers within you, the places you hide most carefully. And in those places, cracks are beginning to open so that light may enter. Do not think that when I break the chains, there will be nothing left for you to do. Grace does not turn you into someone passive. Grace strengthens you to rise. I will open the door, but you must walk through it. I will shine the light, but you must turn your face toward the light. I will lift you up, but you must release what is dragging you down. This is the point at which I want you to mature, to respond to my call with concrete faith. Sometimes faith is a small decision you keep choosing, even while your heart still trembles, like coming back to prayer when you are weary. Choosing to speak honestly with me instead of pretending to be strong. Choosing to put your life back in order. Learning to steward what I entrust to you instead of squandering it out of fear of not having enough. Do not despise these small steps, for I often lead you out of the prison by steady, small steps. You do not need to take one giant leap over the whole mountain. You only need to follow me day by day, and the mountain will be moved in my time. When the new season begins, there will be changes in how people see you. But what matters even more is how you see yourself. The honor I bring you does not simply come from the applause of others. It comes from you no longer despising yourself. You once bowed your head, thinking you were less. But I am teaching you to walk in true humility, not a humility rooted in fear, but a humility rooted in knowing you belong to me. I am making you steadfast, so that whether praise or criticism passes by, you remain unmoved. When you are no longer controlled by what people say, you will feel your heart grow wide. You will know how to love without trying to buy love. You will know how to give without fearing you will be the one who loses. You will know how to receive blessing without feeling guilty. That is the sign of a soul that has been healed, no longer rushing to prove itself, no longer frantic to escape, but resting in a deep peace, like a quiet stream that flows on without running dry. And then, when I have worked in you long enough for you to see that you truly have been made new, I will use your very life as a letter to those who are in despair. You will not need to speak in elaborate words. Your very presence will carry the fragrance of hope. People will ask you with their eyes, "How did you get through?" In that moment, you will not tell your story as though you were the hero. You will tell it as the story of the one who saves. You will say, "There were times when you lacked, times when you fell, but there was a hand that did not let go." You will say there was a time when you thought your life was only made of closed doors, but there was one who opened doors that no one could shut. You will say there were things that bound you that you had no strength to break, but there was a power that shattered them. And as you speak in this way, you will not only warm the hearts of those who listen, you will cause the coldest places within them to tremble awake, so that they know how to find their way home. For true testimony is not a report of how strong you are, but a proclamation of how faithful I am. So, my beloved child, do not be afraid when I lead you through the days of changing seasons, for the in-between season often comes with wind, with change, with an unfamiliar feeling. Do not rush to conclude before you have had time to see the outcome. I am completing what I began, and I do not leave things half-finished. Keep your heart tender before me. Keep your ears attentive to my voice. Keep your steps straight in obedience. When you do this, what once was a wound will become a mark. What once was an anxiety will become a lesson. What once was lack will become a foundation of gratitude. And what once was shame will become a gateway of grace. I am not only bringing you out of a hard season, I am bringing you into a new way of living a life in which you know you are kept, guided, provided for, and used to help many others rise again. I have begun this, and no one can stop it. Hear me now. I know you have walked through questions with no immediate answers, have sat quietly in a space that seemed empty, yet that silence felt as heavy as a stone upon your chest. You thought my silence meant I was far from you. You assumed the heavens were closed because you had done something wrong. You feared your life was being left behind as others moved ahead. But, my child, there are silences not meant to end, but to conceive. I do not use silence as a wall. I use it as a closed room where the seed is kept warm. You do not hear noise, but deep within, life is cracking open. When you look around and see only delay, I am untying knots your natural eyes cannot see. When you think everything is standing still, I am rebuilding the foundation so that what I have appointed will not collapse when the storm comes. For I do not give you a fragile blessing, I give you a footing that can withstand headwinds, a heart that can stand firm when others waver. And you must understand this as well. I do not only change circumstances, I change the direction of the story. I do not rewrite a few lines to make them look better, I rewrite to rescue. There are things that once made you lower your face, chapters you wished you could tear out, memories that made it hard to look straight into the mirror. I do not deny them, but I will not allow them to brand your name. I turn what once pierced your heart into a place where I reveal mercy. I turn what people once measured, mocked, and weighed against you into material for you to walk in maturity. There are losses that seemed like nothing but deprivation. Yet in my hands they become a detour that saves you from a darker road. There are words the world used like spears, remarks that sounded harmless but tore your soul. I will draw out the poison, heal the wound, and then use that very experience to teach you how to lift others without hurting them further. You will be surprised when you look back and realize what tried to press you down became the steps that lifted you up, not for pride, but so you would know I truly am the deliverer. I will give your voice weight not because you fought for it, but because you have passed through fire and still kept tenderness. I will teach you to speak at the right time, to be silent in the right place, and to speak words that reach the depths of a person's heart. What you once thought, even if I speak, no one listens, will change. Because when I place my breath upon your words, they are no longer ordinary sentences. Your presence will become a sign of light in places where people have grown used to living in dimness, not so you shine like a star that boasts, but so wandering souls recognize the way home. I do not light you so you can shrink into a corner, nor do I give grace so you hide it out of fear of being seen. I set what I am doing in your life in its rightful place where it can illuminate, warm, and guide. And when people notice the difference, they will not only be curious about you, they will ask about me. That is how I make your life a living testimony. You will feel a radiance that does not come from trying to appear strong, but from being touched by me from within. It will not be a showy light, but a peace that makes others feel safe when they are near you. It will open doors that were once shut, rebuild trusts that once collapsed, and bring recognition in places where you were once overlooked as though you did not exist. Yet remember, the recognition I give is not like passing applause. I give you credibility built on faithfulness, on integrity, on perseverance in days no one sees. I will bring you into spaces you once thought are not meant for me, not because you are above others, but because I have trained you enough that you will not lose your soul when you are lifted. I will keep you from the temptation of self-satisfaction, so you will always know how to bow your head before the one who drew you from the dust. The season you are about to touch will be a season of growth in a way you have never experienced. You will see that what I do does not stop at having more, but moves toward becoming. I can add to you what you need, expand your territory, and give you better opportunities. But at the same time, I will drive your roots deeper so you are not swept away by the winds of circumstance. Your faith will no longer be a beautiful idea in your mind. It will become a resilient life in your very bones. You will look at life with wider eyes, not boxed into today, but mindful of the generations behind you, how you love, how you choose, how you forgive, how you live honestly before me will leave a mark. I will teach you that some small decisions today are the foundation of tomorrow's blessing, and you will stop living in haste like someone afraid of losing their portion, because you know your portion is in my hands. Your understanding will also be refined. I will cause what once felt tangled like a skein of thread to begin taking shape. You will no longer stand before scattered fragments of life and only sigh in helplessness. You will see the connections, the lessons, the ways I led you through each stage when you thought it was all coincidence. I will show you no day has been wasted, no tear has fallen outside my hand, no sleepless night has been meaningless. The questions that once confused you will slowly find answers, sometimes not through a single explanation, but through a peace so great you no longer need the explanation. You will see me turn why into because of that. Turn if only into thank you. Turn I can't into the Lord has done it. And I will give you discernment to walk through what is coming. You will no longer be led by passing emotions, nor chase the noise of the crowd. I will teach you to recognize which doors are opened by me and which doors only glitter to deceive. I will teach you to discern between opportunity and temptation, between praise and a trap. between being lifted up and being pulled off the straight path. I will place within you a bell of the Holy Spirit when you are about to step wrongly. You will feel unrest when you are on the right path. You will have calm even if your circumstances have not changed. You will learn to hear me in Scripture, receive guidance through prayer, and also learn to be silent long enough that you do not rush to answer in my place. The wisdom I give you is not only to keep you from falling, but to help you lead others through blind places without adding to their wounds. I will go before you, as I once led my people through the dry places. When night falls and your vision is limited, I still have a way to show you the next step. When day rises and pressure burns like fire, I still have a way to cover you so you do not collapse from exhaustion. I do not promise you will never cross a desert, but I promise you will not wander without direction. I will lead you at my pace, slow when it must be slow, so you can learn the lesson. Swift when it must be swift, so you do not miss the appointed time. At times I will hold you back because I love you. At times I will push you out of comfort because I believe you can grow. And you will realize that my guidance is not loud. It is as sure as a hand holding your hand, and as steadfast as a call that will not give up. But my child, to step into all of this, you must keep your heart tender before me. Do not let your scrapes turn you bitter. Do not let being overlooked make you crave being seen so much that you trade away purity. Do not let lack make you cling to possessions as though they are your salvation. I am bringing you out of a spirit of lack, out of a way of living that is always defensive, always afraid of losing, always thinking no one will take care of me. I want you to learn to live as one cared for by the Father in heaven. When I lift you, you still bow your head. When I enlarge you, you still know how to share. When I give you a voice, you still use it to heal more than to win. For the final purpose is not that you become more, but that you become right in your identity as a child, right in your calling, right on my path. Then a day will come when people look at you and can no longer fit you into the old version. They will remember you were once weak, once lost, once unsteady, but they will also see something new: strength without show, kindness without pretense, peace that does not depend on circumstances. And they will ask, what is the secret? In that moment you will not need to embellish, to boast, or to make yourself the main character. You will simply be honest. The Lord lifted me up. That is the strongest testimony, not because the words are beautiful, but because the life is real. You will see the things that once hurt you become a bridge that carries you to others. You will know how to hold the weary without judging. You will know how to speak one timely sentence that can rescue a soul from despair. And that is when I am glorified through someone who was once broken, yet allowed me to make them whole. So if today you still feel as though you are standing in the middle of the story, remember this: the middle is not the end. I am bringing to completion the work I began. I do not abandon. I do not leave things half done. I do not change my mind halfway through. Your part is to trust and to respond, to keep your heart straight, to take one more step, to pray one more prayer, to obey in one more decision, to forgive a little more, and not to put back on the old garment of fear. My part is to make a way, to arrange, to protect, to shape, and to bring you into the very season I have appointed. I will turn your life into an answer for those who are weeping in a quiet room the way you once wept. I will use you as a lamp set in its proper place, not for your self-exaltation, but so that many may find their way home. And when that day comes, you will understand no waiting was wasted. Every silence had a purpose, and every hand I laid upon you was so that you would step out, live, and shine with the very grace I have poured out on you. My child, when I declare that the time has come, That is when heaven and earth begin to move in alignment with my plan for your life. I do not speak at random. Every word that goes forth from my mouth is like a double-edged sword, tearing through every invisible barrier and redrawing the boundaries of your life according to the will of the Sovereign Lord. You once thought you were only a small, insignificant part of a vast world, but in my eyes you are the precious portion engraved on the palm of my hand. No event comes to you outside of my authority, and if I allow the wind to blow through a season of drought, it is because I know that what I am about to pour out will require a land hungry enough, softened enough, empty enough to hold the abundance that comes from heaven. You have walked as one who has wounded every word from people like a thorn scraping against skin that has not yet healed. Every failure like a shove that sends you collapsing once again. But these things are not the final full stop. They are only commas in the manuscript I am writing. There are chapters where I allow you to feel empty, not to punish you, but to purify you. There are dark passages I deliberately do not explain, not because I am silent, but because I am teaching you to trust the light even when you see nothing. And today, I declare that a new season has come, not like a gentle breeze that quickly passes, but like a storm of grace ready to break every old limitation and write a new chapter, where you will no longer live as a mere survivor, but as one who is anointed. I am the one who opens doors no one can shut, and when I say, now is the time, no power can hinder it from becoming reality. You no longer need to struggle and scramble, for what belongs to you was appointed before the world was formed. You do not have to live with the mindset of one who is just hoping for a stroke of luck, for I have destined you to receive the portion of an heir. I do not give you breakthrough so that you can live in abundance merely for yourself, but so that through you others will see my faithfulness and my unfailing mercy. Everything that was lost, ruined, or unjustly stolen I will redeem. Not only restore, but restore with increase. Just as my promise in Job, the Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former. And what I am preparing for you will not look like what you once imagined. It will surpass your expectations, going beyond every limit you set for yourself. The gifts forgotten within you, those things that once burned and were then extinguished by disappointment, criticism, or your own insecurity, will now be rekindled, not to serve personal pride, but to reveal this one truth: I am still at work with cracked clay jars. It is precisely through those cracks that the light will shine out. It is precisely in those weaknesses that my power will be made complete. And you, who once thought you were nothing more than this, will be lifted up by me as a sign of faithfulness from heaven. I will not only give you talent, I will give you strategy, not the short-sighted schemes of human wisdom, but wisdom soaked in grace, flowing from the deep place of fellowship with me. I will guide you step by step through ideas you have never thought of, through connections I arrange that no human effort could orchestrate. Every door that was closed because you did not have the right qualifications, I will reopen because of grace. The rejections that once brought you to your knees will be swallowed up by my word over you. It is time. Prepare your heart to enter not with the mindset of someone afraid of being rejected yet again, but with the assurance of one who knows they are following a call from heaven. This time, the shift will not be like the ones before. It will not be slow. It will not be quiet. It will come suddenly, like thunder cracking across a clear sky, like a spring bursting forth from dry rock. And those who once mocked you, not because you were weak, but because they could not believe that someone like you could be used by God, they will see with their own eyes what I do. But do not let your heart gloat or retaliate. For what I do is not so you can prove your worth to people, but so that you may know that in every circumstance I have never left you, not even for a single day. The steps that were so heavy in the old season will now become light because I go before you to clear the way. The nights that were once restless with anxiety will become peaceful. because the peace I place in your heart will no longer be mixed with fear. It is not that you will have no more trials, but that in every trial you will no longer feel alone. I will walk with you. I will whisper. I will stretch out my hand to lift you up whenever you grow weary. Each day will no longer be a string of trying to survive, but a journey of rejoicing because I get to live. You will no longer have to worry about tomorrow, for I have already prepared everything you need. When you step forward, the doors will open. When you have a need, provision will flow. And when you no longer have words to pray, my Spirit will intercede for you with groanings that cannot be expressed. For I do not let any soul that turns toward me have to find the way alone. Believe. For I am awakening what has been asleep within you, a part of your inner self that you thought had died. Holy passions, dreams that came from me will live again. But this time they will not live by ambition, they will live by faith. They will not live by confidence in your own strength, but by the power of my Spirit. And what you will see will not only be renewal within, but also change in the environment around you. The atmosphere around you will be different. Your mind will be freed from the long, thick fog that has covered it for too long. Your thinking will become sharp. Your vision will be enlarged. You will no longer think small. Think low. Think in narrow terms, for you are carrying the mind of Christ, and that mind does not know poverty, does not know limitation, does not fear beginning again in a place where no one else sees any value. My child, I am not rewriting your life so that you can go on living as before. I am rewriting it so that you may step into the original destiny that has always belonged to you, the destiny long covered over by lies, by wounds, by bitter experiences. But today that veil is torn. Truth is revealed. And that truth is this: you are chosen not because you stand out, but because I love you. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who knows they are loved unconditionally, called with an eternal purpose, and accompanied by one who never breaks his promises. Therefore, do not hesitate any longer. The season has come. The time has been set. All that is old will pass away, and everything will be made new. Not just a part, but the whole. Not just a slight change to make things more comfortable, but a complete transformation from soul to actions, from thoughts to emotions, from small things to great things. All will bear my mark, and people will ask, "What has happened to you?" And you will answer, without preaching, without defending yourself, "My Lord has returned, and he has never once left me, my beloved child." Now I invite you to bring before me your prayer from the depths of your heart, without forcing, without hiding, simply honest and trusting. Almighty God, I come before you with a heart that is both longing and exhausted. I do not come to put on a show of strength, for I no longer have the energy to pretend. I come as I truly am, with empty spaces inside, with worries I cannot even name, with tears I have swallowed in silence. Please look deep into me as you always do, and uphold me as you have always upheld me. Please help me believe that you have never taken your eyes off my life, that on the days I thought I was invisible, you were in fact very near, and that even when I see no path, you are still opening a way in places that seem impossible. Dear Heavenly Father, please forgive me for the times I quickly concluded that everything was over just because I was looking with earthly eyes. I have let fear speak in place of faith. Let weariness steer my decisions. Let delay cool my heart. Please restore in me a watchful heart, so that I will not live carelessly toward your call, will not take lightly the times you stir my conscience, will not overlook the signs that you are leading me into a new season. Please teach me to obey even when I do not yet understand, to stand firm even when I do not yet see, to wait without bitterness, and to move forward without pride. Dear Lord Jesus, my beloved Savior, I beg you to touch the deep places I have kept hidden for so long. I may be poor in money, but what has drained me even more are the chains within feelings of unworthiness, shame, comparison, fear of loss, and the inner posture of an orphan in this world, even though I have been adopted as your child. Please break, at the root, the spirit of lack in me, so that I will not live like one who must fight for every single day, but like one who is cared for by the Father. Please set me free from fear, so that your peace will rule over my mind and I may truly rest in your presence. Merciful Father, I thank you that I am not someone forgotten. I thank you that on the nights when I thought only darkness was there, you were in fact present, quietly keeping me from collapsing. I thank you that you have counted every tear, and not one has fallen without meaning. I thank you that your love never arrives late. It has been there from the very beginning, even when I did not recognize it. Please let gratitude draw me out of bitterness, so that I may learn to see the journey through the eyes of faith. Lord, Waymaker, I thank you that your doors are not locked by circumstances, not blocked by people, not shut by my failures. I thank you that even delays carry blessing, because they keep me from things that are not yet in season. I thank you that you do not simply patch up my life, but are renewing me from within, so that when blessing comes, I can stand firm without losing myself. I thank you that you are the one who rewrites the story, turning dark passages into lessons and wounds into testimonies. Holy Spirit, Spirit of life, I thank you that you are still awakening me. I thank you that you do not allow me to sleep in superficial living, but continually draw me closer to the Lord. I thank you that every time my heart is stirred, it is a sign that you still love, still call, still wait. I thank you that you give me a new chance to answer the Lord's call by faith, to step into a season that is deeper, more mature, more genuine. Please help me keep this fire burning, not letting it be extinguished by habit or busyness. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.